We've rarely seen a good to middling early 90s movie made into a loosely based game so far. Wait, what am I saying? There have been millions, and most have been rather naff. Hook stars Robin Williams, Julia Roberts, and Dustin Hoffman in a Peter Pan follow-up, where an older Peter has basically moved on until his old nemesis Captain Hook returns to steal away his children. It always bugged me how the child who never grew up was able to reproduce. There's a whole weird-ass can of worms related to that, so I'm not going there. Anyway, the film's alright. I wouldn't watch it again, but whatever. Of course, with the star power, as well as being directed by Spielberg, it did pretty well. Take a game such as Belmont's Revenge or Trip World, something that has very busy backgrounds, and see how its great imagery was achieved. When you only have 4 shades to choose from, it's vital to be smart. The best looking games will usually only use at most the lightest 3 shades for the backgrounds when it might interfere with visibility: white, light grey and dark grey. In areas where there might be a clash, black is virtually always reserved for the foreground sprites. Common sense, right? It's still possible to make something that looks amazing while still remaining operable. In Hook, the backgrounds are constantly full of stuff. I don't mind that if it's well done, but here what should be subtle is too bold, with too much of the black tone used. This means sprites such as projectiles or enemies or even yourself can be lost in the muddle of the backgrounds. I review most of my games while playing on my TV, an emulator, or at the very least a backlit Game Boy Advance, and even for me it's tough to determine what's what in places. Playing Hook on a DMG Game Boy verges on the impossible due to how much stuff is on the screen sometimes. Like I say, you can do this just fine if you're more subtle with the backgrounds, and the results can be quite striking if done right. Here, it's just visual overload, and while the backgrounds don't look too bad in and of themselves, it's tiring having to compensate for it. It's not just in-game that the visuals are confusing. Before each level, you get a screen of text telling you the story and the significance of each stage you're about to enter. However, floating around in front of the writing is an obnoxiously large Tinkerbell getting in your way while you're trying to read it. What does this add to the experience exactly? She looks somewhat mutated, and it's quite unsettling. At first, you'll be presented with an overworld with what looks like a lot of levels to explore, and you choose the level based on a compass direction. It's nothing grander than an illusion of choice, but all the same, it's quite nice. Head south to the haunted mine where you're informed that, and I quote, "collecting cakes, THUD butt, has explosive results." No, I don't know what that means either. Immediately upon arriving here, you're accosted by a pirate ghost who rapidly drains your health with no invulnerability frames. Yuck. Press A to jump and B to fling out your sword. Obviously this does nothing to the ghosts. The movement is incredibly slippery, and it's also impossible to move and attack at the same time. I tried to get through this mine a couple of times, dying within about 20 seconds. Your attacks do nothing to anything, and the physics are so bad that it's virtually impossible to dodge. Occasionally there are blinking things on the ground, THUD butt cake perhaps, that look like they can be picked up, and perhaps they can, but for the life of me I don't know how to do it. So back to the map with it. Maybe I'm missing something. West heads towards the pirate forest, so let's see if this is any better. Get out of the damn way, Tinkerbell, I'm trying to read the introduction. It probably doesn't matter anyway. Immediately, and I do mean immediately, there is a pirate with a blunderbuss shooting at me. I managed to actually kill him this time, but not without losing a bunch of health. Why is my sword so short? It's essentially no more than a steak knife. The hit detection is so bad as well. It looks like I'm touching an enemy, but it only seems to register if I'm stood in a very specific place, meaning you're going to lose health from everything you come across until you figure this out. Too far away and it doesn't hit, too close and it doesn't hit. But oh yeah, of course, they'll hit you. Again, there are blinking things on the ground. It's not always clear what these are, but some of them replenish your health, some of them give you some stuff, and at least you can pick them up this time by pressing down. Why you should have to press a button to pick something up is irritating, but compared to everything else is a minor gripe. The physics are all wrong, almost sinfully so, and yet somehow the physics aren't even the worst part of this game. The hardest thing to get past is differentiating between the foreground and the background. Of course, you're going to be limited with only 4 shades available to you, but Hook is an outlier as most games that you play on the Game Boy manage to overcome this, which leads me to question how these developers got it so wrong. I'll never get past either of the first 2 levels available, but with this one, it's a matter of protest rather than skill issue. I simply refuse. Hook doesn't deserve my or anyone else's time.